Welcome. The Power BI May 2024 release just came out. Within it, there are 10 updates that you're going to learn about. This video is going to fully equip you to understand everything that was just released. Let's get into the list of what this video is going to cover. Firstly, matrix layouts. There's a totally new opportunity for how matrices are delivered. You can organize the data differently. I'm going to talk through all of those. There's line updates. The line now functionality, we can control custom dashes, custom formatting, custom scaling. I'm going to show you all of those items. They've released a general availability for modern tooltips. We'll cover that. Also, on interaction updates. There are now 3 additional new visuals that have on interaction updates that we're going to talk through today. There's a new release for the mobile pane. We're going to talk through that. Also, publish to folders just came out. There's new functionality with Copilot and asking questions. The general availability for the DAX query view, we're going to talk through that. Also, there's a new relationships manager functionality, an interaction GUI that was released. I'm going to show you that. Finally, there's a cool new Sunburst visual from PowerBiz that's also included in this update. Overall, there's a lot of updates in this blog. I'm going to cover everything for you. If you find this valuable, hit subscribe, like. There's always more content coming. Now let's get into Power BI Desktop. Let's go. All right, so here we are in Power BI Desktop. The first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to have 2 options. You can follow along with this video. Every chapter is going to be an update. You can find the ones that are applicable to you. There's lots of stuff in here. But also in the description of this video, there is a link to a GitHub repository where you can download this file. The benefit of that is you can follow along. There's going to be examples of all the different items that's released. We're going to click through everything. I'm going to show you how to do it. You can then use it and check it out yourself. So I encourage you, download, follow along, and let's dive into it. So overall, the way that this is going to be organized is we're going to talk through these updates. Every tab is going to be related to an update, so you can see an example. I will share the information, including links for blog posts pertaining to the update. So if you want to dig deeper, you can, as well as a summation of each one. So ideally, you watch this, you're fully equipped. You know everything that's happening with this new update. Let's get into some of the first major releases. Matrix layouts. All right, so this is a cool update. I'm going to show you examples for how to use this as well. Again, you want to make sure you have the new May 2024 release installed. So if you're familiar with Excel, you'll see this visual down here, and it highlights it in the blog post as well. But with the matrix visual here on the top right, I'm going to click through all the options for you so you can see it and take it in. That in Excel with pivot tables, it's common to have a compact form, an outline form, a tabular form, as well as hide row headers, repeat row headers, insert blank rows, all kinds of stuff. So let's talk through what that is. Let's just dive into it here. So what I've done on this visual is I've created a matrix. A very straightforward matrix that has on rows, category, age, and gender. So we can see category, age, gender. And then there's going to be things we can control through this layout and style presets. So how about this? Let's just recreate this here by going into layout, style, and presets. And if you want to toggle and see the different options, now we can look through each of these. So let's start by compact form. This is kind of the default. What we have is, again, we have the sales amount and the return amount. But what we can see is that for compact form, category, age, and gender, we can see product category, the age, and then gender. It essentially stacks these up where we can control the indentation if we want to. So we can, expand and contract as we see fit. The other style is outline, a little bit different. And what we can do as well is toggle this repeat row header. So these are good examples. Outline, what it does is that instead of having it all vertically, it kind of expands it horizontally. So we can see the totals, it creates total rows. I'll turn off the blank rows. We'll look at that in a second. So for example, we're in Office 365. We see the total. Now we can expand or contract the years. There'll be a total within that as well. we can control the formatting of all of these. This is the outline format, and then tabular. The totals are a little bit different. It kind of contracts it, and you can see now here at the bottom. Again, 3 new styles for matrices. It's your preference. What do you want to use? 2 other features of matrices are that you can repeat the row headers. So sometimes we want to have it feel more like an Excel file. So instead of having the category just be one big blob, well, if you wanted to, you can repeat row headers. It pretty much fills in all the space for you, as well as then if you want to insert a blank row that just helps segment the grouping, you can do that as well. Insert a blank row. You can then format the blank rows as you see fit. Maybe you want them to be red, maybe black, kind of call out like, here's the separation. Adjust the transparency, but you can set all those things up. So ultimately, the matrices, there's 3 big new updates there with a compact tabular and an outline, repeat headers, and insert blank rows. Sweet. Let's go to the line updates. All right, this is some cool stuff too. So again, I put lots of notes over here on the left-hand side. We're going to talk through it, but if you have the file, feel free to read through them. So we have some examples. This is going to be first a cool feature pertaining to how to hide or show lines and markers. So what we have here is something that shows 3 different measures: sales, return number, net sales. Again, all these visuals are basic. They're meant to demo the feature. So what the line can do now is you can hide lines and hide markers. Again, a clear clutch thing is to use them in combination. And it describes that in the blog post. So here's an example. If you go into this now, what you can do is there's a new, under the line section for any series. So in this case, again, this visual, it has sales, returned, and net sales all added to it. Well, now what happens by default typically, if we revert this, is say I go to the series of net sales is currently the squares. Well, if I turn this on, there's usually a line. And then in the markers section, if we go to markers for sales, actually I'll go to net sales, you can turn this off. So this is kind of what a typical line chart looks like. The combination of what you can do now with lines pertaining to markers and the line itself is pretty cool with the toggling feature. So say you want to just highlight something where you don't want to have a bunch of lines, maybe just dots, and those can be beneficial for you. What you can do is now in the line section, we can turn off a line. But first, before we turn off, we'll turn on the markers. So say for net sales, we'll turn on the marker. So we have these squares, pretty standard. You can change the shapes. I'll set them up to diamonds. I'll make them bigger. But I don't want the line. And this is a real cool, subtle feature you can do as a developer for how you want things to look. So if I come up to the line, I'll turn this off. Now you have dots. So you can control the visibility to hide lines or to hide markers and use them in conjunction with each other to create a pretty interesting visual landscape. Another thing are all about the custom lines. So there's a key thing here, I'll make it big for a second, called dash gap dash gap. There's going to be a code you put in to control this. I will explain it by looking at it. So you can see with this line, there's a dash, a gap, a longer dash, and then a gap. Well, let's get into what this is. So in the line section now, here's an example line chart. I just have a very standard, if we click into it, the sales amount over time by month. But the goal now is we want to have custom lines. We want to have the dotted be different. We want to have our own thing. So what you do normally is you can pick solid line, dashed line, dotted line. Now we have custom. And there's going to be 2 things about custom. There's going to be custom, and it's going to allow scale to width. And I'll show you and describe scale to width as well. But here's how this works. Dash, gap, dash, gap. These are pixels or space between it. So if we do, say, a dash of 5, a space of 5, a dash of 10, a space of 5, and apply that, well, we can see that there's a dash. It's a little bit longer, the same size as space. Let's increase these to maybe 15, space them out a little bit more. You can see now how we're controlling it. Let's increase this 1 dash just to exaggerate it, to make it kind of stand out, 25. Cool, so we have a long dash gap, smaller dash gap. It says detailed functionality you can do, but here's another thing that it fixes. So with any kind of line, be it even a dot or a dash or a custom one, if you increase the width, it starts to overlap itself. What I mean by that is as we move this width up, getting wider, 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 well, the line kind of starts to look funky where you don't maintain the ratios for what it looks like. So what this will do now is you can scale by width. Turn this on. What this does is it maintains the width of the lines to scale as we expand it. So if we make this small, you can kind of see it even in more action. Let's make this gap. So it's kind of like 2 dots together. If we turn this off, well, when you look at the width, there are 2 dots together, but as I make this wider, they kind of merge into one and you lose what the ratios. So turn on scale by width. Then as we increase this, they're going to maintain the visual appearance as we zoom in or zoom out to them, which is super cool. So now we have more control over that with the width changes. And finally, kind of something interesting is pertaining to how the dash caps are used. And this was new to me. So if we have something that says 5 and then maybe a space of 0, which is essentially nothing, and then 5 and then a gap of 15, well, this yields kind of an interesting line where it's not really segmented fully. But what you can do is if you change this up, the dash caps, the square or the round, it's pretty straightforward. But then if you go to flat and say we do, let's do another dash of like 0 here. Well, it will ultimately allow you, if I put another example, 0, 5, square, dash gap. I guess we need to have a little bit of a gap here. Well, it will let you, they're pretty similar actually, but the round versus the square, flat kind of allows more separation. It's super subtle, but those dash caps are some more customization that they let you have. And these lines, they do go through everything else like reference lines and forecasting lines, so we can control way more on the lines now. There's all the line stuff. Modern tooltips. So this is something that they actually led off with the blog post, but I found it less impressive right now. And what it is it's just kind of starting the journey for tooltips. They give this screenshot that says, this is what we're going to get to. We'll have a tooltip and you're going to have all kinds of customability to do different things. It's not there yet, but by default, what they're saying is that the modern visual tooltips is going to be enabled by default. I do recommend you turn on auto scaling. That's another option that was just released, and that will just ensure that as tooltips are deployed to your screen, it won't be fixed to a certain width or size. It will shape dynamically and auto scale, as it says, with your report page. So there's also a video of mine you can check out for next level tooltips. It's in the corner up here. If you watch that, you're going to really see how you can go beyond the standard tooltips, but to have like charts within charts and nested tooltips and things like that. The big thing for this is that the roadmap is released. So there will be a more of a elongated journey pertaining to tooltips to come, but still, if you look at them now, they're pretty much the same. Like I added another measure in this tooltip as an example, and you can always do that by going here, tooltips returned, but it doesn't have this kind of controllability yet, but it's going to. It's still pretty straightforward. So more to look out for that. On interaction updates, they said that there's 3 new visuals that allow on interaction updates. The matrix, small multiples, and waterfall. Again, I just threw some visuals out here so you can see what those are. Nothing fancy, but what on interaction updates are is previously if you wanted to say change the title of something where you had to click a visual, make sure you have the format pane open, navigate to title or your section, and start changing things. What on interaction updates allows you to do is just click in the visual, double click again, and now you can come in here and it kind of takes you right to the screen, and I can just change it here. New title, and you can change a lot of different factors, fonts and formatting. It just kind of does two things. It navigates you to the correct section in the actual formatting pane so you can drill into these things, or you can kind of change it right there. Click the axis, click the bars, click the charts. Same with the matrix. Maybe I want to change, just about anything you want. It's a way to do it. I also still love the format pane and just getting in there and going through everything. But those are the on interaction updates that are released. So you have those. Mobile pane manager. So this is something they talked about. It's kind of straightforward, but essentially this didn't exist before. So now when you go into mobile layout, say I just threw some random visuals and I need to format my page to work with a mobile phone. If I go into the mobile layout, well, now it's just that the pane's here. So if we wanted to adjust and work with bookmarks or selections, we can do that. I drag these visuals here just for fun, but again, page visuals, you can also do an auto layout, drag these things in here. But the highlight is over here on the right-hand side, that with the pane just does have visibility now when you're in mobile layout. It's subtle, but it's just something to be aware of. Publish to folders. So I do suggest going into the options here and pick publish dialog support folder selection, ensure that's enabled. And what that does is if you have a Power BI service and you share reports, well, you've potentially seen that now in the Power BI service, if you're in a workspace, you can just click new and add a folder to organize your reports. Well, previously, if you wanted to publish that, you couldn't pick a published folder. But now here's just an example from the blog of what that looks like. As you go up, to home and you go to publish and you publish this report to the service, it's going to have a little bit of a different feel to it. You can pick a specific folder to publish into versus the generalized one level deep folder. Pretty straightforward, but still valuable. Update 7. So this is they put it in the blog, and here's the example that you can ask questions now, and it's in preview, but I think the key thing is that it's in general availability across everybody now. I have a video from actually the last month's update. Check this out here, where it talks about the new Copilot pane, and we go into detail on it. You can do all kinds of stuff where you can ask questions about your data model. Again, the Copilot pane's over here on the right-hand side. If I click Copilot, and on the right-hand side, if you have a Power BI service that has a premium capacity, then you can utilize this. And you can type, it can create a report for you. You can suggest content. You can ask a question, how many measures, and my picture's in the way. But, this data set provides comprehensive detail stuff. This is just a data set from, you've seen a lot of my other videos from Microsoft for basic sales. But essentially, Copilot Pane now can tell you about your data, not necessarily just about whatever's on the report page. That's the summation of this. Also, they did call out in this same thing that the DAX query view with Power BI Copilot is fully available. Again, I made a full detailed video on this one too, where this is pretty cool. There's a lot to unpack here. It's a detailed video that talks about this Copilot update, and some key things about it are that you can conversationally build DAX now. And again, watch this video if you're interested to learn how to do that. But you can go through how you can prompt and use Copilot to say, create a DAX calculation that does X, Y, Z. It will create it. You can say, explore my model, and we'll explore it for you. This video goes into way more detail about that, but they just wanted to announce the general availability of this feature. So that's that update right there. New managed relationships, number 9. So within any model, on the left-hand side, there's all these relationships that are set up. And sometimes if you have a large model, it can be hard to just understand what's the whole landscape of your model looking like, or how do you need to adjust or look at things. So what there is now is if you come to the modeling tab, there's something called manage relationships. Well, when you click this, it's going to show all the relationships in the model. It's going to use the standard notation for the cardinality. So a one-to-one relationship or many-to-one or one-to-one. Hopefully you have no many-to-many relationships. Those are typically frowned upon, but needed sometimes. So you can see the relationship, but then you can also filter it. Maybe you know, like, okay, what are the one-to-one relationships on my model? You can click it, the many-to-many, etc. We have no many-to-many, but many-to-one. You can see these. You can make them inactive. You can make them active. You can create a new relationship, auto-detect. So a whole new feature level set for how you can interact with managed relationships. I guess the functionality is the same. It's just the experience of getting in there is a little bit improved. That's managed relationships. And finally, with this update, they did talk about a lot of different visuals. And in the blog post, you can see they listed a lot of things out. But I thought this one was pretty cool. It's called the Sunburst chart by powerbi, and I put one here. I always like these subtle little animations when they move just a little bit. But what I've created for this one is, again, the Sunburst chart are great for pie charts that have hierarchy. So I have a store region and then a store measuring net sales. Over here is a left-hand image, which is a whole bunch of different examples that they've given for how you could use this chart. Again, it's a certified provider chart, so it's not fully unlocked. But what you do have for free is the ability to utilize this kind of the core features, and I'll show you an example. Once you get a license, if you want to, you can put it in here, but just straight up, there's still value for it. So what's cool about it is it drills into things. So say in the core center region, I have my main store region. So if I click like far west, boom, now the whole thing's filtered. It interacts with my page. And I can now see, as I drilled into, I'm down to the far west. I could then see Victoria, or, I could click into anything specifically, go back. But it's a cool way to drill into your data. Flat plains. Look at these fake stores, see the details, see the totals. And again, the formatting and the way that you use this visual is pretty straightforward with the free version, which is what we're looking at here, but it's still cool. It's good to know. If you do want to unlock it, there's instructions for how to do that. If you're not sure how to add new visuals, simply go into your build section, click get more visuals. It will launch the marketplace and just search for Sunburst chart and look for the one from powerbi. So there you go. Here are the 10 updates from the May 2024 Power BI release. Hopefully you find this video helpful. You've just understood everything that is released. You're caught up. Like this video, subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, leave them. Let me know. And you all have a good one. Take care. Bye.